one thing that we're going to do, we're going to be a run and hit defense. All right. We're going to run, and I just told this to our staff, the defensive staff. We had our first staff meeting. The way that we live is not for everybody. Okay, it's not. All right, because we're going to run and put our bodies on people in a violent manner. All right, and so we're going to get that play style right first. The structure doesn't matter to me. The main thing that matters to me is, are we going to be arriving violently? All right, and we're going to turn the ball over. All right, we're going to make sure we disrupt these quarterbacks.
Oh, what's good, Commanders fans? Just wanted to give Joey Jr. some props here, and not apologies, but just giving guys props that I did give a hard time in the beginning of the season. Really, after like the first 2 or 3 games, and give these guys their credit, man. They've been balling. Joey Jr. has been getting guys in the right spots, getting guys to communicate, and getting guys to buy in. I just want to talk about 5 ways that I've seen the defense improved, for sure, over the past really weeks 4 through 8, defensively, because man, I was just like, man, our offense is a juggernaut. We're the first scoring defense, first scoring offense in the league, but our defense just can't get right. We're gonna have to win games by putting up 38, 30, 35, just the way we beat the Bengals. That's the way we're gonna have to beat teams. But no, this defense is holding it down, and I know, I get it. Some of the opponents, some of the quarterbacks that we have played against have not been great. But still, you got to beat the opponent in front of you. And there's been years that, we've seen the Skins and Commanders lose games to backup quarterbacks or to quarterbacks that are inferior, that you're supposed to take care of business, and they don't take care of business, and we see those guys come in and light us up. So I do have to give Joey Jr. some credit. First reason for me, and then I do want to talk a little bit about Darrick Forrest in this article that Jeremy Fowler wrote about on ESPN, talking about Darrick Forrest being a trade candidate, which is intriguing. It's intriguing. It's not big news, but it is news. It's something to think about. It's nothing set in stone. We haven't had any inquiries or anything like that, but I just feel like if you can get a pick for Darrick Forrest, I think that's something that you want to consider in doing. So Joey Jr., we know he's talked about violence, preaching about violence, hitting, tackling, ball is life, all that good stuff. But I think knowing his personnel, man, just knowing the chemistry and knowing who can play and who can make plays and who cannot, and putting guys in the right spot is a huge thing. Like, he really had to learn this team. He had Emmanuel Forbes out there the first game, then he got the injury, and they kind of softly benched him or dropped him on the depth chart. Then he came back. They tried out Michael Davis. Michael Davis was awful, so they just had to learn that he couldn't play. They had to bench him and only delegate him to special teams because he was awful against Malik Neighbors. Learning that Noah I could go out there and make an impact. He got more snaps. His snaps had an uptick. So just kind of learning that combination of cornerbacks. So like I said, they tried Emmanuel Forbes. They tried Mikey. They tried Emmanuel Forbes. They tried Mike Davis. And they did give Emmanuel Forbes a chance against the Panthers. And he made a play. He stepped up and made a play. But I think that communication and just the chemistry has really, really gotten better with Mikey in the slot, sometimes playing outside. Ben St-Juste, knowing the personnel, who he can match up with and who he cannot. Zay Flowers, don't put him on Zay Flowers. Wide receivers of that caliber. And then Noah I getting more snaps. And Noah I has made an impact. I thought he's played well at times. Yes, he gets beat from time to time, but he's been better than what we were against the Buccaneers and the Bengals and other teams like that. So I think just knowing his personnel, Jeremy Chin has really, really improved. Quan Martin has been solid and steady, for sure. Jeremy Chin, I guess I do owe him somewhat of an apology because somebody commented in my last video. They were like, "Oh, I'm wrong. I was wrong about Jeremy Chin." He was awful the first 2 games. He was really bad. He was really bad. And he's starting to tackle better. He's tackling better. He's making plays. He did force a fumble. He's there. He's coming up and tackling, wrapping up. He struggled to tackle Devin Singletary. He struggled to tackle Daniel Jones. But ever since that Giants game, and he made a big play in that Bengals game on Monday Night Football where we forced a field goal. That was huge by Jeremy Chin. So Jeremy Chin has been coming up. He's been stopping the run. He's been where he's supposed to be in the secondary. So I got to give credit to Jeremy Chin because I wanted him to be benched. I wanted to see Tyler Owens. I wanted to see Darrick Forrest. But Jeremy Chin has really, really proved me wrong. And the Arizona game, he had a pretty solid game too, where he was up there not stopping the run, but going up there making plays, rushing the quarterback at times too. Them using him as a chess piece out there too. But tackling has improved. So knowing personnel is one for me. And then Emmanuel Forbes, what they're doing with him. He didn't play much in that Bears game, which I thought was kind of the smart decision there. Matching up against DJ Moore and Rome Odunze and Cole Kmet and Keenan Allen. I just think this wasn't a great matchup for Emmanuel Forbes, but they did have him in that Panthers game where Emmanuel Forbes did make a play. So I think just knowing your personnel, when to put guys out there, when not to, I think that's been huge for Joe Witt Jr. Tackling has improved. I told about that. Everybody's been tackling better. Jeremy Chin, Bobby Wagner's been tackling really, really well. Frankie Louvu, that Buccaneers game, we just struggled to wrap up. John Allen, who's not playing at the moment, he struggled to wrap up against Baker Mayfield in the backfield. Guys are wrapping up now. Dorrance Armstrong, when he's out there, he's finishing plays. Frankie Louvu's finishing plays. Dante Fowler is finishing plays in the backfield. Johnny Newton is getting in the mix. He's getting in the party. He's finishing plays and wrapping up on tackles, wrapping up on quarterbacks. So tackling has been huge for the most part. They are playing a lot more violent and just with a purpose out there when they're tackling, not trying to just arm tackle and guys getting by. Deron Payne made a huge tackle on Caleb Williams where it was a shoestring tackle to stop him from running for potentially a touchdown in the second half. Even though the Bears eventually did score on that drive, that was a big tackle. That was a big tackle by Deron Payne. So tackling certainly has improved. Forcing turnovers. Ball is life. We talk about that all the time. Dante Fowler with the pick 6 on Andy Dalton. Emmanuel Forbes with the interception on Andy Dalton. I said it right this time. And then also the forced fumble on Michael Wilson that Frankie Louvu had on the Cardinals. You think about this weekend, the turnover on downs when Ben St. Juste had a huge tackle on DJ Moore. You talk about tackling, that tackle on the screen pass where it was 4th and 1, where Caleb threw it to DJ Moore. Ben St. Juste came up and wrapped up. Then Frankie Louvu finished it off and wrapped up DJ Moore, who's a big guy. He's a big fella at wide receiver. We saw what he did to us last year. And to hold DJ Moore to under 40 yards, under 30 yards to compare to the 230-something receiving yards he had last year is just a huge improvement. I'm gonna go over some numbers too. I'll go over a couple numbers too actually right now of where we're at. So if you look at Commanders defense dropback EPA per play, where we ranked weeks 1 through 3, we were 32nd. Now weeks 4 through 7, we were ranked first. Commanders defense weeks 1 through 3 EPA. So yeah, I already talked about weeks 4 through 8. We're ranked 4th for EPA per play allowed, and also through 8 games, the Commanders defense ranks 10th in points allowed and 14th in yards allowed. That's insane to think about where we were in the beginning of the season. That Buccaneers game, the Bengals game, we were probably ranked in the bottom 10 in points allowed. Points allowed doesn't always tell the story, but it is a good measuring stick because obviously you're not allowing a lot of points. But we're 10th in points allowed and 14th in yards allowed. That's a huge improvement for weeks 1 through 3 to weeks 4 through 8 at this point. I mean, that's insane improvement there. You even look at last year. Last year's Washington defense finished ranked last. We ranked 32nd in both categories in points allowed and in yards allowed. So to go from 32nd to 10th and 14th in those two categories, you also look at passing yards allowed right now. We're ranked 6th in the NFL. I know the Caleb Williams game helped it. The Deshaun Watson game helped it. The Andy Dalton game helped it out as well. So those 3 games did help. With the Daniel Jones game, we didn't give up a lot of passing yards. The Malik Neighbors went crazy, but we didn't give up a lot of passing yards in that game. We still have to improve in the run game. So yes, we have improved a lot, but there's still a lot of room to improve in the run game. Devin Singletary, Tyrone Tracy, whoever we go up against on Sunday, that's going to be a big test. Both those guys can run. They're no slouches, especially Tyrone Tracy. He's had a darn good season. You saw what he did against the Steelers yesterday. And holding Caleb Williams to 131 passing yards. And a lot of his passing yards came in the fourth quarter. The first 3 quarters of the game, Caleb Williams had like 36 passing yards, which is unheard of. And he was having good weeks. He had a good game against the Jaguars, who were awful. The Panthers were awful too. So I just got to give credit to this defense. They have drastically improved over the last 4 weeks. I'm also saying pressure, the way we're getting to the quarterback. Johnny Newton, Dante Fowler. Dante Fowler has more sacks than Chase Young and Montez Sweat at this point. Dante Fowler is 20th in the league in sacks with 40. He's 20th in the league in sacks with 4. And also, who else is up there? Dante Fowler, and then Frankie Louvu has 4 sacks. He's tied. He's tied for like 23rd. He's 23rd, and then Dante Fowler has 4.5 sacks. I'm sorry, so he's 20th in the league in sacks at this point, which is really darn good right now. So we have 2 guys in the top 25 in sacks. As a team, as a whole, we are 8th as a team with sacks. We have 21 sacks right now. The Giants have 35, which is insane. They're first with sacks. A lot of it's because of Dexter Lawrence, and I'm not going to take anything away from their D-line. But Washington, we are 8th in the league with 21 sacks at this point. So we're top 10 in sacks, and we have 2 guys in the top 25 in sacks, which is awesome. So we are getting pressure on the quarterback. We got pressure on Caleb. He was uncomfortable. He had to move around the pocket a lot. So we did a really good job with that. We've done a really good job in getting after the quarterback and getting pressure. Johnny Newton, my camera cut off. My camera cut off. So that was my point, that we'd be getting a lot of pressure, and Johnny Newton was like top 2 in like PFF pass rush grade and PFF defensive grade overall. He was like he was 3rd overall among interior defenders with an overall grade of 89.2 and then 90.9 pass rush grade, which was 2nd among interior defenders. And Dan Quinn did say he's arguing or sending a request to turn that tackle for loss into a sack for Johnny Newton. So Johnny Newton's been balling too. Johnny Newton being added to the defense has helped us out. He did finally have his breakout game. I'm not going to say finally, but he had his breakout game. So I think he's going to trend up, man. I'm excited to see what he does against Daniel Jones as well on Sunday. I can't wait to see that matchup for him. But all right, let's transition to Darrick Forrest. So I'm going to read a little bit of the article here. I know it's not a nugget or anything reported, but this is what Jeremy Fowler feels may happen with Darrick Forrest, and I think this may be best for both sides to move on. I don't know if they're going to release him like they did with Jamin Davis or other Ron Rivera picks. And Darrick Forrest has actually been a solid Ron Rivera pick. He hasn't been awful, but the injuries have derailed his career. So this is what Jeremy Fowler has said. The article is, who are a few under-the-radar players producing trade buzz. He named Kenyon Green, the guard from the Houston Texans. He named Nate Davis, the guard from the Chicago Bears, who is available. He also said veteran Buffalo safety Mike Edwards is available and would like to go somewhere he can play. Quote, he's been a steady and active. And Jeremy Fowler also goes on to say Washington's Darrick Forrest is in a similar situation. A former starter who's out of the rotation and could need a fresh start elsewhere. So, end quote. So that's basically what he said. It's not much. But another article is also saying, yeah, who is the player most likely to be traded over the next week and where could he go? NFL Week 9 latest buzz predictions, questions, and fantasy tips. So basically, my take on it is Darrick Forrest. I think this is a situation where you either trade him straight up for a 7th round pick, or you attach maybe a 7th, kind of like the John Ridgeway special, or really the Adam Peters special is where you attach a late round draft pick and then you trade it for a higher draft pick. So he attached a 5th round pick to Jahan Dotson. We ended up getting a 3rd round pick and a couple 7ths. He attached a 7th round pick to John Ridgeway. We ended up getting the 6th round pick. He attached the picks to Sam Howell. We ended up getting the higher pick for Sam Howell. So that's really been Adam Peters' special, or his formula for trades. So I can see him doing something like that, doing something similar to that. I mean, on Forbes, I can see him doing something like that too, because we do have, 2 or 3 7th round picks. So I think Emmanuel Forbes, it may be a situation where you have to attach a pick to Emmanuel Forbes to move on from him. They probably tried to trade Jamin Davis, but nobody was interested at all. But I feel like Darrick Forrest, there may be some interest. There may be some interest to the point where it may be something like that, where you have to attach a 7th rounder and then trade up and get to get like a 6th round pick or something like that. It may be something like that. I think that's the most realistic you can do for Darrick Forrest. If not, maybe they decide to release him. If they don't decide to release him, they just keep him on the roster just for depth. You never know what can happen. And I think if injuries do happen, knock on wood, Darrick Forrest is a guy that has played a couple years in the league and has had success in the NFL as a starting safety. It had a couple of good years. He had like two or three really, really good years, 2 or 3 solid years as a starting safety in the league. And he can force turnovers too, all his life. He takes the ball away. So that's just what I wanted to say about Darrick Forrest, because I remember I made that video where I was like, Darrick Forrest needs more playing time. If Jeremy Chin continues to struggle, but Jeremy Chin has really stepped up, and Darrick Forrest has been an active or has suited up and played special teams. He usually does that backflip at the end of games and stuff like that. But all right, you guys let me know what you guys think. As always, Hail to Commanders. Peace.